Hi, you came back! For those of you who didn't see part one, this video is dedicated to showing you how to drape a bodice block on the stand or mannequin. My name is Serafina and you're watching Fina Makes. So, welcome to part two, and I'm going to show you how to drape the back bodice. If you haven't done part one, you haven't watched it, you don't know what is going on here, go check that video out. If you did see the other video, let's get started with the back block. We start off in much the same way as the front. In fact, it's all pretty similar. Get yourself a bit of paper. You know the score, it needs to be folded along one edge. This time, we've got a nice straight back line to work with. So there is a bit of a curve here going over the shoulder blades. And so what we want to do is the same with the front, pin the top, pin the bottom, and then I tend to pin on the shoulder blade. You want to be pinning the back onto the same side of the mannequin that you did your front, because you're going to use your front as reference points for the back. You want to make sure you've got enough for the top, but also enough for the bottom. Like an inch or so below the waistline is perfect. And then secure the top with a few pins, and then I place a hand on the shoulder blade just to steady the paper. You can also pin it there and then take it to the bottom. If you pull the paper top and bottom kind of level with the shoulder blade, you'll find that the paper naturally kind of curves around the side, and then you just want to roll that round, and then it's the same technique. So from the shoulder blade we want to go round in a right angle from the centre back, and your paper wants to be straight. So you don't want your paper doing this, you don't want your paper doing that. You want your paper to be at right angles. If you start off with a relatively rectangular bit of paper to begin with, don't worry about like drawing straight lines and right angles and stuff like that, but like if you make sure it's kind of a rectangle, you can use that shape to guide you. It's also really handy, I didn't do this for years, but if you actually fold the paper along the spot and cross, if you're using spot and cross, you can use the pattern on the paper to help you keep everything at right angles as well. Super, super handy. So again, this is tight to the side seam, and then what you want to do is bring the paper back a little bit, the same amount that you did for the front, so that you're adding ease around the shoulder blades. So basically, the ease in the bodice is around your lungs because you breathe, you expand, and then a little bit for the stomach because that can fluctuate too. It's just wiggle room so that your body can do its thing. Once you're happy with the amount of ease, you can start to pin the side seam in place. We don't have a bust dart because we've got a shoulder blade. I'm going to pin my side seam. So now you can see the back of Sheila a little bit better. I'm right-handed. I know this looks like my left hand because my phone does a weird mirror thing. I'm actually right-handed, not left-handed. And now you can see the back whilst I'm pinning it. So we've got a bit here, which you'll see is for the dart. And we're pinned on the side seam. I can see the red line through. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pin my waist dart. So it's exactly the same as the front. The paper's already doing what it wants to do. If you've pinned it on the shoulder blade and you pull the paper down, you can quite easily see where the dart wants to go. Also on Sheila, she has got seam lines running down her back waist through the shoulder blade, so I can see where the position needs to be. Don't get too caught up on it. If it fits right, then it's great. I think my dart looks massive. So what I'm going to do is pull the paper in a little bit at the bottom, ever so slightly. If you've got a big bum, or the person you're making for has a big bum and a curvy back waist, then you're going to want a really big back waist dart. Sheila doesn't really have a very big bum, so I don't need to make a massive dart for her. So I know on her that I can make my dart a little bit smaller at the back and it's going to fit. I'm going to pin that. I'm going to pin it a little bit less than it is so that I'm leaving the ease in there. And you want to pin it straight up to the shoulder blade area. I've got my back dart pinned. I've got my side seam pinned, I am going to draw in my underarm point so that I know where to start my back armhole. I'm going to draw in my side seam, I'm going to draw in my waist seam, and then I'm going to trim it all. See you in a sec. I've trimmed the side, I've trimmed the waist, and I've drawn in the waist and the underarm. I actually go over a little bit and draw a bit of the information of where it's coming from, so I know where the armhole's coming from, I know where the waist is coming from, so that I can make a really nice smooth transition into the back. Now what I need to do is the back neck, the shoulder and the back armhole. So again, I'm going to start with the neck, and it's the same technique of draw a little, cut a little. Tongues come out, you know it's serious. I need 3 hands to do this. 3 hands would be super useful. I don't know how hairdressers do it. So that's like witchcraft to me. So I know roughly the shape of the back neck, so I'm just going to get rid of this bit of paper. And then I'm going to keep, this is all nice and flat, keep on drawing the shape and then match it up with the side neck point. So I've got my side neck point drawn here. I'm just going to give that a little trim and then I'm going to pin it to the front. So because of the shoulder blades, your pattern comes out at the shoulder. So in tailored blocks and couture garments particularly, there's often an inwoven thing, so stretch is different because you can get away with a lot more. In woven things you have a shoulder dart. So the shoulder dart is about 6 centimetres long, like 2.5 inches, by about 2 centimetres max. So just under an inch, like 3/4 of an inch. And the reason it's there is to add shaping and room for your shoulder blades, because there's nothing worse than putting something on and it's like super tight across the shoulder blades. So that's what this excess is for. You'll notice sometimes on woven garments, so non-stretch fabric, that when you put them on, if they don't have a back shoulder dart, quite often the armhole will gape at the back, and that is because it doesn't have a shoulder dart. It should for optimum fit. So that's what this guy's doing. So what we're going to do now is pin the back dart, the shoulder dart, and then we're going to draw in the armhole. It doesn't really matter which order you do it in. I kind of alternate between the two of them. I start pinning the dart and then I do a bit of armhole. Like whatever works for you is absolutely fine. They're related to each other, so they need to be done around the same time. So the shoulder dart wants to be around about mid-shoulder, and then you're looking to get about a 2 centimetre dart, so about 3/4 of an inch. If it's really, really big, it's going to give you pointy here, which is not what you want. You just want like a gentle curve. This is quite tricky to stay smooth because the paper really wants to crease when it's tight. So I tend to pin the dart before I pin the shoulder, or at least pin the centre line of the dart. So I've made a little crease here. It points to my shoulder blade, so that's happy. I'm going to pin that at 1 centimetre and then I can carry on pinning my shoulder. So I've pinned my dart. I always push it down towards the armhole. You'll notice there's stuff going on here. That's fine. What you're aiming for is for this area here to be as smooth as possible. So you can see that that area is smooth. I'm going to now pin the rest of my shoulder. And then draw it in. Come to show you that you can see I have pinned and drawn in my shoulder seam coming down here. I've also filled in a little bit of the information on the front armhole, so I know where my armhole's coming from, and I also have drawn it underneath the arm here, so I know where I need to start and where I need to finish my armhole. I'm filming this myself, so I don't have the luxury of camera angles. So, shoulder's done, just the armhole. Again, we want to kind of follow the ridge. You don't want to make it too narrow across the back, because once you put the sleeves on, it's going to be really tight across the back. So what we want to do is make sure there's enough fabric going on, draw the shape, and then trim it. Almost always, when I've done my back armhole, I'll trim it. I always give myself more paper than I think I need, and then I just reshape it and scoop it out a little bit afterwards. It's much better to do that than to make it really, really big to begin with, and then you haven't got enough paper. So I'm going to trim that now, and then have a look. So you can see that I've got about 2 centimetres, 3/4 of an inch, something like that, around the armhole itself. And then at the back, I don't. So what I want to do is just scoop that out a little bit. I do want to have a bit of ease on the back armhole, but I also don't want to make a really small armhole. That's going to be too small for a sleeve. So, armhole done. That is your bodice block draped on the stand. All that's left to do now is to take this off, put it flat on the table, true up any curves, draw any straight lines in, and then it's good to twirl. Let me know how you get on in the comments below. I'd really, really love your feedback. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see more from me, subscribe. You can follow me over on Instagram @fina.makes. And why not sign up to my newsletter so you can hear about tutorials before anybody else does. I'll see you next time. Take care.